Well, yeah, just at the start of this, I thought I would bring something up and maybe potentially annoy a potential sponsor in the first 30 seconds.
Oh,
So that's something that I feels like an intelligent thing to do. But have you ever stopped to think just purely about the fact that one of the biggest sports betting companies in the world, like a multinational sports betting company, is literally called Ladbrokes. Ladbrokes.
It's in the name.
It's in the name. How did this, like, obviously it's somebody's name and they've just ran with it, but how did it get this far?
the weird thing, I have to say, I never thought of it before.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
No.
I think we joked about it in the UK when we first arrived because it's like they're the off track betting shops.
Yeah. I know.
Like the TAB, but they're kind of
TAB.
a bit weirder because there's a few different versions of them. But I think when we first arrived, it was like Ladbroke. Why would you go in there to bet?
I don't use them just because their app's shit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, if they didn't like the little joke about their name, they're certainly not sponsoring us now.
Can we stay on this run of of bagging out advertising? Now,
next week, TAB.
This isn't bagging out necessarily, but just listening to podcasts every now and then, like ads for betting companies come on, and one of them, how they have the tag at the end that's just like, gambling can ruin your life.
Yep.
Don't worry.
What else
don't worry about that.
What else could you spend it on?
Yeah, that's the worst one, surely.
Yeah.
Is
drugs.
Think about what you could be what else you could be spending it on.
Yeah.
But if you're gambling, you're thinking, yeah, but I'm going to win more.
Yeah.
That's what gambling is.
That's right.
That's what I never understand is that one of like, yeah, well, no, think about what you could be spending it on. You're like, yeah, I know, but when I win, I'll be able to spend it on everything.
Yeah.
I'll be able to gamble even more.
That's
which is actually the way most gamblers think. So
Yeah.
What could you be spending this on? Different shit I don't need to be spending it on, pretty much.
right.
Well, can I just add something to that thought, Buckland? Because the last win I had, I took out of my betting account and bought 2 NBA jerseys. So,
that's very good. That's nice.
Well, I thought so.
Mine paid for Australian Open tickets, so that was.
Wow. All right.
That was
I
all right.
think Ladbrokes would be happy again.
Yeah, we're
We'll come
back.
around again.
Good job, Ladbrokes.
Come around again to being really glowing, I think. Something else less sport related, but I only read it 10 minutes before coming here. And I'm obviously a middle-aged man and only just found this out. Did you know that paprika is just dried red capsicum?
Yes.
I did actually know that. Yes.
I had no fucking idea. I can't tell you what I thought it was. I don't know what I thought it was.
Now, I mean, is this all we're going to do? Is just
Well,
talk about
paprika.
things what we've learned? Can I drop a fact on you that you might all know and think, yep, that's just common knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. Now this is maybe a little obscure. Do you know which way your plate spins in your microwave?
Clockwise?
Clockwise or
Yeah.
anti-clockwise? Do you know that? Do you know the answer?
Yes.
Well, but
I've got a flat microwave. So,
Oh.
sorry.
Inverter.
Right.
Nice one.
Well, Buckland, let me break your brain for a sec because this broke my brain, and then we might pause the podcast while you go and try and prove that I'm wrong.
well, yeah. But I do have a caveat to what I said.
It changes direction each time.
Yeah, I
you
know.
use it.
I was about to say that. Have you ever seen, like, if you go put something in for 20 seconds, you go, what am I thinking? Oh,
I know. I never paid attention.
And just whop another 20 seconds on top.
Yeah.
Not always,
No.
but very often it'll go, all right, we'll go back the other way then.
Nope. I don't know why I hadn't noticed, and someone pointed it out to me, and I was like, "That's not true." And then I was just like, all my life, just oblivious.
It might say something about me and how interesting my life is that I choose to spend a fair bit of it
Well, you know what?
in front of the microwave watching it cook.
I've been pretty hungry before watching, and I've definitely watched food cooking ready to eat it the second it's ready to eat.
Yeah.
But yeah, never pay attention to
You've
that.
just been watching too much South Park and want to bounce around on your balls. That's why you got the microwave cranked up.
Oh, well, look. Hey, we haven't talked much about sport yet, but people are fucking informed nice and
they
early,
are.
aren't they?
They are right.
People have learned things. That is correct.
All right, let's get into some headlines. The NRL has been asked by the Canberra Raiders to look at the deal Jack Whiten's made with South, suggesting there's a bit of a pooey whiff around it in regards to value. Yeah, unders. He's on unders there, and Raiders unhappy. Big Nas, Nelson Solomona, and speculation he's about to join the Wallabies by re-signing with the Storm for 4 years. I'm a little bit sad at the thought that we're not going to see that enormous fucking monster just rip the All Blacks apart out in the centres, maybe.
Yeah.
Look, my question is, are we actually going to, would we have seen it anyway? Like, are you watching the Wallabies play?
Yeah.
I think if there was an 8-foot fucking Sasquatch out in the
If there was an
centres, I
8-foot
would
New
be watching.
Zealander playing in the centres for Australia, you'd watch?
Yeah, I would watch that. And if they didn't
Fair.
market it thus, then shame on them. Women's State of Origin have settled on their venues for this year. One in Townsville, one at Combank. So there's 2 this year. AFL and a 19th AFL team based in Tasmania could be confirmed by this very weekend.
Ooh.
Plus, the issue of mid-season trade windows opened up again.
Did you see some commentary around that 19th team from some of the players?
Like, who'd want to go and live in Tassie, that kind of
Yeah,
gear.
that was the that's the overwhelming
That's the
sentiment.
gist. Yeah.
That's
Pretty tough.
Have you guys been to Tassie?
Yeah.
No, I'd like to.
I've been
Yeah,
to Tassie.
I've
I
been.
don't mind Tassie.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's kind of like Canberra with more inbreds.
Greener?
Jeez.
And Richard likes that.
I dig on that. I got no problems with that.
I feel sad I live in Canberra. We're in a deficit there, apparently.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, the
your
federal-
cousins.
There was some consternation, I read it earlier today, that the federal government's going to fund the stadium for them. Like, really?
Hang on.
What's the problem with that?
Why are they just playing out of Blundstone?
Oh, that's a bloody good question. And I don't know if any journalists raise that. Not worth their salt these days.
Well, I mean, like, it's tough, isn't it? Because, like, the idea of, like, who would want to, would you rather live in Brisbane or would you rather live in Tasmania? Is based on, I don't know, the winters there, I guess.
It's literally an hour flight across to Melbourne. Like, you know, if you've got family in Victoria, which, you know, you've got to imagine that any non-Tasmanian players would be coming from Victoria anyway.
Yeah.
I suppose if you get drafted, that's a consideration, but fuck.
Also,
it'd be more inconvenient to be in, like, in Perth, surely. If you,
I think it's crazy. They should have, when the Suns joined up, that should have been the Tasmanian side.
Yeah.
They should have been the 18th team.
They have
It's
more support
ridiculous.
than on the Gold Coast.
Absolutely,
That's
yeah.
the ridiculous thing.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Like, you know, well, GWS, like, I know that everyone slags off GWS a lot, but, you know, Gold Coast is just as bad. Between those two teams, there should have been a Northern Territory team and the Tasmanian side when those two came in the competition. That should have been.
Who should pick up Nelson Asafa Solomona in the AFL?
The AFL.
I'd love to see him play for Port. I think he'd be good in there. He just comes charging straight through the centre.
As long as he doesn't have to turn.
Imagine seeing Max Gawn getting absolutely barreled
God.
by him, like just being literally torn in half by it. Get rid of the ruckman. Let's just turn it into rugby.
I think what I'm most like is the AFL spent a lot of time and money porting Tasmania, marketing to Tasmania, sending games down to be played down there, ingratiating themselves with the community down there, only to have one or two buffhead players in the paper the day that it's being announced completely undo all the good work.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, but yeah, you know, I think like I think it's a pretty reciprocal relationship. I think Tasmania is pretty keen for their AFL team as well.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, it is. It's I think it's just sports people. They're just dickheads, aren't they? They say the wrong thing.
Now, you guys are
Yeah.
much stronger followers of the sport than I am. Is a 19th team going to dilute the skill levels much, do you think? And follow-up question, supplementary question, are they looking at a 20th team as well to try and even it out?
Oh, I mean, I think they're struggling at the moment with the gap between the
I
top
think,
teams
yeah.
and the bottom teams. There's
Particularly in certain positions, I think this is where it comes down. It comes down to those tall players. There's just a real lack at the moment of tall players who have some kind of lack of injury run is the big thing, and because they're all just falling apart. So there's just so much bodywork going on these days that, you know, if you're a bit out of proportion, a bit lanky, you got a lot of work ahead of you. So I think that that's probably the area where there is a skill deficit. I think there's a lot of really good young players around the place who you probably won't notice it too much in those smaller athletic kind of positions, but it's more the specialised positions. I think you'll find that that's where it's going to come a bit of a cropper.
So are you saying that they're just the clubs are just grabbing any old lanky fella and trying to train him up?
Well, that'd explain why Laddams gets a game for Sydney. So, you know, he's got like 3 brain cells between him. So
God's fired. Well, everyone's going to play basketball. That's the thing.
well, there's absolutely. There's so well there was a bit. Maybe we need to get that going back again.
Yes.
We
Paul
need to
Roos. Get Roos back.
Yeah, get all the pseudo basketball players to come over and play AFL. That's what you need to
In Tasmania.
In Tasmania,
Yes.
That's right. Just go over, get a big ship, get a big plane.
Go and raid the jack jumpers.
Yeah, the jumping jacks.
The jumping jacks, the Maasais. Just stick them in the plane, bring them back over. Here, this is your new home now.
All right. So a new IPL netball competition's being looked at that would run for 6 weeks before the Super Netball season starts. I just like IPL being added to anything to pizzazz it up a little bit. Yeah,
So-
I'm sure it'd have very little to do with the IPL whatsoever.
Nothing.
An Indian netball league, is that what you're saying?
No. Just like it's a
IPL style.
Short, IPL style. So it's a short.
Sorry, my apologies. I literally
That's
thought
right.
you meant it was an Indian Premier League.
The netballers are
competition.
going
They're
to
actually
play cricket
drafting the
for 6
cricketers
weeks
in.
before the.
Yeah.
They played in a big stadium under lights, but they still
Yeah.
play in the same proportion in the middle
Yeah.
that you can't quite see.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's come out of when that happened in the WNBL in the basket, and it might have happened in the men's NBL as well when COVID hit, and they created like this what they did with the NBA, I guess, and have like a little bubble tournament where they played pretty much the whole season in, I think it was like 12 weeks or something like that, where they played a couple of games a week and then it was all over. And I don't know, like obviously it's not successful fans wise, but I don't know. Netball sort of tries to promote itself on TV more than the basketball does. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, there's a strong affiliation in Victoria between, and I'm maybe not so much between the big clubs, but definitely in the regional clubs between football and netball. Like they pretty much run side by side. So possibly trying to tap into a bit of that, I suppose. I don't know. It's a tough market, I think, the old netball one.
Well, although it doesn't have anything to do with IPL, it does for my purposes, because I'm going to segue into a cricket headline, which is that Big Bash teams will be able to sign 2 Cricket Australia contracted players on a marquee supplementary list and play them whenever they're available with payment relief under the salary cap next season. So seems that the Big Bash have finally come round. Cricket Australia have finally come round to going, hey, this T20 competition that we put a lot of stock in and needs to make us a lot of money, but we restrict our test players from playing a lot of the time.
Restrict a lot of the good players from playing in it.
Maybe we shouldn't do that anymore. So, yeah, it feels like it's about 10 seasons later than it needed to be, but there you go.
I think there was a real exclamation point put on it in the last BBL season when Steve Smith came in and was the highest run scorer for the entire tournament after only playing 3 innings.
Yeah. Well, when Big Show broke his leg just at the start of the season, and then, actually, aren't there many other
big shows?
Big shows, yeah.
No.
Anyway. Arsenal find themselves battling in Manchester City for Premier League supremacy. That's that'll be happening tomorrow morning as we record. But
you would have enjoyed the weekend's result, Matthew.
I have. I mean, maybe we could get into it in a bit more depth at a later date. But yes, I'm having. It's a very difficult season for me. I'm a Newcastle United supporter in the Premier League and have been for, I guess, over 30 years now. And I love it. But when your team smells of oil and blood because of Saudi interests that may or may not have removed certain people's heads in areas that are still being denied, then it's hard for me to be like, yay, sport. Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, take your pick. Would you rather a Saudis?
Yeah.
Premier League's been that for many.
Yes, it has. And it's
20 years now at least.
Well, I mean, the idea that Man City are the actual, are challenging again for the Premier League. I mean, they're in the exact same position, I want to say 15 years ago, where they were always battling to stay up and mid-table all the time. And then, yes, they get bought. But I guess it's the same. Like Chelsea are bought, Russian oligarchs. Like it also speaks to like Arsenal are owned by the Cronkies. Now we just assume they're up to if they've or Man U are the Kraft group as well, and we just assume they're American, so they're dodgy, but they're not that dodgy. But we don't know. Yeah. Who knows? Like where it all comes from. But it's interesting. It's been interesting watching Newcastle supporters sort of justify, like just not like looking the other way and being like, well, everyone's doing it, so that's fine. And then you start winning, and you're like, I like watching us win. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
especially against Arsenal. Aren't all that bad though. They make nice cheese.
They do. No.
Thank you for that pause.
Yeah, wow, that was a large pause. I took a drink of water and I was like, maybe did something go wrong? Well,
yes,
the answer is yes. So yeah, that's I don't know, but it would be good again to see Arsenal prevail. But again, they're a massive club with massive, a lot of money behind them. But I don't know, their team is built less from let's throw millions and millions and hundreds of millions of pounds at players, and which they have, but it's they've sort of built a team up over a number of seasons who, again, the fans of Premier League are so fickle that, last year they were calling for Mikel Arteta's head because they were going to finish outside the top four. And it's the same all the time. And even like Newcastle supporters, like, they started spending money. They didn't buy, hugely expensive players, but they bought sensibly and for the money they had. But immediately, like when there was a result and there was like a draw, you could read the comments and they'd be like, we need to buy this player and this player and this player and this player. And you're like, yep, didn't take you long just to, ignore everything else and just be like, yep, we like having money and we like winning.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's, At least the Russian oligarchs have been forced to sell theirs.
Yeah, we've got integrity.
All right, last head.
Sorry, you go.
No,
I was just going to say, just see that the Spurs are actually refunding any of their fans who went to see them get thrashed by Newcastle.
Is that true?
Yeah, apparently.
I mean, it's always nice when you play a game and it results in the opposition coach getting sacked. Like, that is a good feeling.
That is pretty good. Yeah.
I'm not a big Tottenham fan, but that is a good feeling when you're like, wow. Because you've been, if you've followed it enough, your team has always been on the other end of just being appalling from the minute they turn up, but not that appalling. It's been a while. To be 5-0 down after 20 minutes is pretty tough.
It's pretty tough.
To go from London to Newcastle on time and then to be like, people apparently were leaving after 8 minutes because it was 3-0. And they're like, all right, I'm out of here.
Wow.
Yeah. Travel all that way and be
it's been ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah, I'm out.
All right. Last headline here. John Stamos confesses that he got the Olsen twins fired from the cast of Full House.
You should have done a blankety blanks in that headline, because I thought you were going to say pregnant, and I was going to say,
that's not.
It would have been two men fighting for the same joke.
I might have claimed my microphone stopped working. Sorry.
I'm not sure how that got in there. That's not a sport headline.
I know, but I'll be asked if we're not like digging a little deeper and saying, is that true?
Well, they were fired briefly, apparently.
When they were
really young and couldn't stop screaming, and Stamos had a fucking cupful.
Wow.
Oh, you shut your holes.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know how that headline got in there.
How do you demand that you sack babies?
Yep.
Without coming across as a horrible, horrible person?
Oh, you can't.
No.
Well, I encourage you to look up that story, because it's Stamos on a podcast talking about it, and what he says after that is equally horrible. I didn't really want to.
I'm not a racist. Is that,
no.
Is that how he starts the next conversation?
I'm guessing it's about talking about them growing up and becoming.
No. It's about. It's just not well phrased. He's just going, well, we got a couple of redhead kids in to do the roles after, and they just weren't attractive. And then he starts backtracking, going, oh, it's not because they were redheads. Okay, all right.
They were just ugly babies.
They were just ugly. They just weren't attractive kids. So we got the Olsens back. So apparently seemed like the firing lasted one day.
Wow. So, what a turning point in the Olsen twins' life was if they had have got more attractive babies to replace them. Like their whole career, their whole lifestyle, Wow.
Sliding doors.
Whatever the fuck they actually do wouldn't have happened.
Sliding rangers.
And now I've literally just got an ice hockey movie starring orangutans go through.
I'm in.
I've been waiting for an episode title, Wigo, and I should always know you'll deliver me up one. All right. Well, before we talk about a few other things, I saw a headline while I was trying to make these headlines, and it simply said Nuggets finish off Wolves. Is there a basketball team called the Nuggets? Seriously?
Yeah, there sure is.
This is I messaged this to Wiggins at any time in the season this happens is when the OKC Thunder play the Denver Nuggets, because it just says Thunder Nuggets, and I just think that's the best phrase in the NBA.
Well, now I've got two things battling for episode title supremacy.
I mean, second is Heat Nuggets, but that's more of an instruction than anything else.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I assume they mean gold nuggets rather than the chicken variety.
True.
Or is it just not fully specified?
Well, it is. Like their symbol. Well, they've got a couple of different logos, but the main logo, or today's logo that they used, had the mining picks They've got crossed mining picks.
Oh.
So where are the Nuggets from?
I believe that Denver was a bit of a mining town at some stage.
Okay. All right. This is great. I'm going to get real educated during the course of this.
It all started more than 20 years ago when many of us were still pups. Two big men, though one was small in stature, gave birth to the Winfield Cup. Since that time there've been many who've played the game to the end. They played it tough, but they played it fair and walked off the field as friends. That's what the big game's all about, giving it the best you can. Playing like a mortal, they play like Superman. Giving it all you know, giving it your best shot, 'cause there are no second prizes, you're a winner or you're not. Who will it be this year? A small man walking tall, or a big man even bigger to collect the greatest prize of all?
Look, fellas, let's talk Ashes. Okay, we've got the squad announced for the Test Championship and the first two Ashes tests, which I always think is a real vote of confidence when you're picking your squad for half the series. Let's run through it quickly. We've got the sexy man Paddy Cummins up the top there as the captain, of course. Scott Boland, Alex Carey, Cameron Green, Marcus Harris.
Got a hand up
Josh
there.
Hazelwood.
Can we put a pin in that name?
Yeah, I put a sibilant S there just as a bit of exclamation for you. Josh Hazelwood, Travis Head, Josh Inglis, Usman Khawaja, Marnus Labuschagne, Nathan Lyon, Mitchell Marsh, Todd Murphy, Matt Renshaw, Steve Smith, Starkey, and David Warner. So, what do we think of that?
Well, can I ask one thing prior to actually going into the conversation around what cricketers should and shouldn't have been selected for the Ashes squad? Can we make sure that any time the name Mitchell Marsh is stated on this podcast that there is some sort of audio underneath that
Crackling?
name? Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah,
Fire.
that would be spectacular.
We should give some context to that because I have been accused by people trying to listen to our podcast in the past that there's just too many in jokes and it's not enjoyable. So, I think it's been a running joke amongst us for a while that whenever Mitchell Marsh is mentioned, that you also must mention fire because in I believe it was Channel 9 promo for Channel 9 or 7.
I think it was 9. I think it was long ago.
Yeah. Broadcasting the cricket. They were doing a promo of the upcoming cricket matches and said, "Is this the year that Mitchell Marsh fires up?" And then a big of fire, which was funny because, what were they trying to say? Because he hadn't been that good previously.
Everyone's waiting for him to be good. That's
pretty much. So, and we're to some degree we're still waiting. No offense.
He fires up. He fires up. 1 in 8 games.
That's right.
But they
we've had
tend
some
to be
history,
all the shorter form.
We've had some history with
usually.
Australian all-rounders picked in the test squad in the test side that haven't necessarily fired up as quickly as we would have liked, but then have found their mojo and literally been on fire for a good 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah, Andrew McDonald.
Well, he was on fire before he got selected for the Australian cricket team, Matthew, and you know it.
Yeah.
Attractive ranger.
Yep. Well, I'm talking about Andrew Simons and I'm talking about Shane Watson.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, at no stage do I believe that Mitchell Marsh has reached the heights of either of those players.
Mm.
But I tell you what, I'm excited to be around when he does.
What's he like on calling for reviews?
Yeah, true. Watson style.
Well, I don't know if he's actually going to get a chance to do it because he bats a little lower in the order. Mind you, they are going with 3 reviews now. So,
Oh, really? So,
Warner's a
Warner
special.
he'll use that. He'll be like,
Warner
that
is a
was
special.
an LB. Even though I didn't offer a shot.
That's right. And I also
Stuart
nicked it
Broad
to the keeper.
Bowled around the wicket. Got me LB yet again, or bowled me. That we know is going to happen.
And Marnus and Steve Smith are also specials. Like, I think those 3 players will take up all of the reviews.
Well, it's always the issue with reviews that no one addresses, and is the batsman, especially at LBs, is out because he's misjudged the line of the ball.
Yeah, so why is he?
So now he's going to be like,
That's
I don't
right.
reckon that was going to hit the stumps. But you're like,
Well,
yeah, that's why
that's
you've
right.
been given out because you played on the wrong line. Like it's never spoken
I
about.
think it ceases to be that. I think it's who least wants to be out here. You get the reviews.
Yeah, and sometimes you're like when you just see review like LBs and stuff. That's because you. But when you nick a ball and you're like, I'm going to review that. I don't reckon I did. Yep, I did.
Yep.
Yeah,
I would have been the worst.
Yeah,
I would have been the worst.
I definitely belted that, but maybe I'll get away with it. And then you're like,
That's right.
What are you doing?
Maybe someone turned the camera off.
Yeah. Oh look, I wish him the best. I hope it works. I don't like. Where would he go in though? Only if Cameron Green's finger falls off again.
Yeah, it'd have to be because he's he's certainly earned his spot now with his performance in India.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Big
Cameron Green fan. Big.
Yeah.
Yes. But
thoughts?
also, Mitchell Marsh is about to get fire.
He might get on fire.
Sorry, Stu.
That's okay. Thoughts on Candace Warner on Fox mouthing off to selectors about?
Well, she is on fire.
Why Warner should be picked and who's better, like who you're putting in there seriously, kind of thing. Have we had a scenario before where a player's partner's gone on telly and just bagged out anyone talking about dropping him?
I mean, that is an excellent question. Can we come back to that? Maybe we can do some research because something in the back of my mind tells me yes, definitely. There's certainly been mothers who are very happy to get on and bag people out, but
yeah. But I thought that if you're talking about the Johnson situation, I think that was more just partner and mother not getting along, rather than mother, lashing the test selectors for their choices.
Yeah, I think Johnson was always getting picked.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me. You know what I mean?
Can I tender an option?
Please.
Can we not pick him?
Yeah, I don't get
not
why
pick
I don't.
Marcus Harris
Is it just a spite pick then?
Well, here's the question. Even though I don't like the fact that she did it, is she right? Who's going in there? Renshaw? Harris?
No, I'd be picking Travis Head.
All right. And then is that a way for Mitchell Marsh to get into the middle order then?
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Wiggins wants the fire in the middle.
Hey, I'm a bit disappointed that I didn't see the name Hanscom on that list anyway, though. Got to be honest.
He's just too weird.
What does that mean?
Well, his batting style's too weird. It
makes me uncomfortable.
He bats so deep in his crease, which is great if his eye's in and he's in form. He looks amazing. But as soon as his form slips, he gets out immediately because he's standing in front of his stumps about an inch away from them, and that's it.
He's French cricketing all the way. And the closer he is to Europe, the harder it is for him to play that way.
And that is ironic, right? That the closer he is to France, the worse it is for him to play French cricket.
That's right.
I don't know. I don't understand what that means. I'm sure he would have been in the top few averages over in India.
Yep.
Surely.
Well, I think he wasn't he the highest scorer in Shield last year as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this history is so long of us not picking the players who do the best in the domestic comp and just picking
And picking
people.
a Marsh instead.
Yeah, picking a Marsh, picking someone who we've tried before and failed, and pick them over the top of people who've scored wads of runs.
Do either one of you want to talk about Jamie Siddons right now?
I mean, what has that bloke had to do to get a nod from the selectors?
I don't know.
Well,
the only way Dean Cox was able. No, sorry, it's Dean Hills. It was the other Dean. It's Jamie Cox.
Now we're getting into 90s.
There we go.
Now we're in our sweet spot.
Now,
of
both
90s
of them
cricket.
coached Australia because it was the only way they were getting picked.
Right.
This went off so fast.
Well, you know.
I want to know, because you said you've said previously that you don't trust Hanscom, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
And
as a person.
And I would say that I don't trust Marcus Harris.
No, I don't trust Marcus Harris either.
He seems like, and this is going to sound nasty, but it's not intended to be, a little kind of vole-like person.
Then maybe Europe's the right place for him.
Well, yeah, perhaps. All right. Well, we should wrap this up because we did say we wanted to be shortish and sweetish.
Yep.
But also, while we're talking Ashes, Graham Swan's come out and admitted that he and Kevin Peterson never liked each other and called him a dickhead.
Yes.
What a topical coming out from Graham Swan of some real relevant timely issues.
Completely unexpected.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
I thought.
Oh, Kevin Peterson was a twat. Oh, really? Yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, wouldn't have picked that.
Yeah. I wonder if you could find which player on the opposition teams Shane Warne liked the most, and whether they were liked by their teammates. If there's a connection there.
Their level of twattiness.
Yeah.
There we go. That's a graph you want to see. It's a correlation graph.
That's right.
Well, him and Vaughan were quite good friends, but I get the feeling that happened kind of when they were doing a lot of commentary together rather than playing days.
Not when he kept playing cover drives for a whole summer and scoring 1 million runs.
Yes. And good pull shots as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, did you want to do the talk about Lycra before we go, or just not worry about that?
Oh, I Justine went and did No Lights, No Lycra tonight. I just wanted to report back on what she'd actually said about it.
I don't know what that is.
Anyone know what No Lights, No Lycra is?
I'm assuming it's some kind of aerobics activity.
Yeah, it's like
jazzercise or something with. But
no, it's more like come to this big hall thing, and it's all in complete darkness, and we play music, and you just dance aerobically.
Oh, okay.
But you can't see anyone, and they can't see you. It's meant to be like just dance,
dance like no one's watching,
dance like no one's watching, right?
And get a broken nose,
which sounds great, because it's one of the real problems I have is I really like dancing to live music, but there's about 8 seconds I've got before I get self-conscious about how bad I'm dancing, and I would like to not have that. But she said immediately she became more self-conscious because there's nothing else to focus on, and this is her quote: "The only thing I could focus on was how white I am." With my dance moves, you can step side to side,
right, okay.
You can move your arms, you can step side to side, you can move your arms a little bit. And
I thought she meant literally she was only able
like
to see her white skin.
No. She just said like
floating in the.
Yeah.
She got asked to leave
Very
because everyone
pale.
could see themselves.
Yeah, she was luminescent. She had bioluminescence.
You can see her arms. Yeah.
An anglerfish, and she's just swimming around with a light on her.
She kept luring people in, headbutting them.
So yeah, she said that was really difficult, and she said the weird thing is she kept looking to like the front of the venue as if she was watching a show, even though there was nothing absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said it was very weird for the first, half of the dancing. But that's why, Wiggins, you heard her singing Lightning. They played Live's Lightning Crashes, and she said, try dancing to that song. Put that on and try and have a dance to that.
That's a fucking stupid song.
I know.
The fuck? Who? What?
That's
How was
right.
the rest of the? That's what I want to know. I want to know what the play
Yeah,
was.
what
I
was
know
the
the
playlist?
playlist, because I did ask when I was leaving. I was like, when she was leaving, I said, is there a person who chooses the music? Because if Justine could choose her own music, she'd be loving it. It'd be going off. But yeah, apparently they put Lightning Crashes. That doesn't seem like a song to burn some calories to.
And following that was A Perfect Day.
Yeah. All right, you want to start getting pumped up? Here's a song about someone having birth and placenta. Get into it. Slow dirge. But so that was that's No Lights, No Lycra. Is that? So you can dance like no one's watching, except all you can focus on is your own dancing and how bad you are. Can't distract yourself.
Well, there you have it.
Cool.
New episode. First of the new episodes. Done and dusted. Thanks, fellas.
Oh, pleasure.
If anyone listening has any thoughts, questions, ideas, hot takes, we'd like to hear them. Get onto the socials. What's the Go socials on Facebook, Twitter, and the other one, Instagram. Bye now.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Can we please, if we get some live reads, I'd like to do it as if we were doing sports bet ads. So and we can change our voices so we can be more manly or whatever he's trying to do.
Well, let's write our own.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you like chimps? Anyway.
Do you like ice skating?
Well, if until we get a sponsor, if we want to create a fake betting company and write ads for them, that's something we could do. Ladbrokes.
I reckon.
Skint prick.
What about Rich Man?
Yes.
What about Chimp Bet?
Chimp bet. Yeah, I'll do it.
Where you can win the monkey.
I don't know what that
Put
means,
your
but I
monkey
mean,
down.
Well, instead of bet with mates, bet with monkeys.
Bet with monkeys. Yes. So the entire premise
Bet with chimps.
the entire premise of the company is that everything is run by chimps. So they set the
all
odds.
the ads. Yeah, that's right.
They set the odds.
Yeah.
Sometimes our
By
sometimes
what?
our
By what?
odds,
Throwing shit at a chalkboard.
True. Yeah.
Sometimes our odds are very favourable because this is because chimps are throwing their shit on a random board.
Well, gentlemen, I think we'll find that the Sydney Swans are evens this week. Evens? What are you talking about?
Hang on. Panthers v Tigers. Panthers are $8.
Oof.
Yep.
Max bet $5,000.
Man City has an 8-goal advantage on Arsenal this week. Let's go. Get on it.
Get on it. Chimp Bet.
Get the monkey. Yeah, sells itself.
I'm in.
This is an Angry Chimp podcast.
Hello, my name is Piers Grove, and I'm a founder, publisher, and managing director. In March 2022, I'd just been named managing director of Australian Geographic and set up Scout Publishing. Then everything changed. 404 Brain Not Found, the podcast for stroke survivors and their friends and colleagues. We explore the absurd experience and frustrating journey of stroke recovery. 404 Brain Not Found, a general experiments podcast on all podcast streamers.
My name's Stu,
I'm Rachel.
and we are fans
Obsessives might be the word.
of the 90s. The 90s. The 90s.
the 90s.
You can follow the podcast on your favourite podcast app. Rachel, what's the name of the show?
Swinging on the flippity flop.
Why the 90s?
We lived it.
We lived it. We were it.
Was it the best decade ever or the lamest? Let's find out.
Flippity flop.